So now we're going to look at Adobe Photoshop main interface, okay, which is what we have in front here. All right, I'll leave the keyboard there. I'll probably just minimize this for a minute. Okay, I'll put it here. And then we're going to look at what is all this about. All right, so let me bring an image so that we have something to work with. Oh yeah, this is when we went to Orkney and the islands. Let's bring... Yeah, let's just bring this one in. So it opens automatically onto Camera Raw, and in here you will do whatever arrangements I say, blah blah blah. So we're just gonna open it for illustration purposes. All right. So we have now a floating window. All right. Because that is how I like to work with. Okay. Now, up here we have Photoshop main menu, the menu bar. Yeah. And then we have the on and off switch, and it tells you Adobe Photoshop version in there. Okay. This here is the tool option bar. Okay. Now every tool in the toolbox has options that you can change, and whenever you are on that tool, this would change to give you the options to alter the tool so that it will behave the way you want it. All right, so I'll go through that later on. All right, so mainly I'm just highlighting the main interface. So we have the tool option bar, the toolbox, right, or the toolbar, and this can be displayed like this. I don't like it like that. I like it like this. Ever since I started in Photoshop, going back in 1983, I have worked with this type of toolbox, except that before this was the only option you had to have it floating like this, but today you can anchor it on the side and out of the way. Okay, then we come to the main active image window, okay, which is that one, and this is the active window, right? So in here we have 50% where you can actually alter it to, let's say, 75%, and it will magnify it to that. All right, so we were at 50%. All right, and in here it tells you the dimensions of the document in centimeters and also per pixels per square inch. But by clicking in there, you can select what type of information you want to display. All right, for example, measurement scale, that would change to 1 pixel equals 1000, or 1000, is it? Pixels. All right, so I just like it as it was before, which it was document sizes. All right, and no, that wasn't that. Document dimensions. So it tells me the size and the resolution. All right. And we have the rulers, right? Now rulers are very handy when you're working on your images, okay? It can help you to measure or indicate by, I'm gonna go to the move tool. I'm here because with the move tool, the only thing you can do is move something so you don't damage anything, okay? And by clicking on that white line that you see there, all right, you can bring, click, hold, and drag. You can bring a guideline, all right? It's out there. So you have guidelines. You can have millions of guidelines on your document, but they don't print. You only able to see them. Now, when we were doing in the last previous video, I talked about that once you were working in a document, you can change the colors of your guidelines, all right? So let's change the colors. Let's just imagine that you were working in a blue background and you couldn't see the guidelines. So you double click on them, all right? And then here you have guidelines, you have smart guidelines, you go grid, slices, path, and controls. So what is all that means, all right? So guidelines are those ones that are basically there for to guide you to where a particular item you're going to place on that window, or to highlight a point where maybe there is some damage in the image, okay? It's endless what you can do. Grid. Grid means that you can have a grid on your layout, on your canvas, okay? And you can say whether the grid is going to be solid line or dotted line, and you want intervals of 4. So you have 2 centimeters, and it will be 4 intervals in each square. Okay, so it will be that one square, that 2 centimeters will be divided by 4. All right, and that will give you your grid. Slices. Slices is when you create a document, or let's say a photograph, and you don't want people to steal the photography, okay, from you. That image, you don't want it to be stolen. So what you do is you slice the image, okay? And then when you upload it onto your website, whenever they right click to save that as an image, they only save one slice of the image and not the entire image. A lengthy process? Yes. Can you create a shortcut for it? Of course you can. But you can decide what color you can change in there, right? Path. What is a path? A path is when we use the pen tool, all right? And the pen tool, you want to select this here like that, and you're going to cut out this shape of that picture, right? So the dotted line is what is called a path, okay? And then the controls, well, controls, they speak for themselves, isn't it? All right, so we were going to change the color from blue to red. So let's select here red. You click there, okay, and okay over here. And it's still blue. Why? Well, it's only applied to the next set. All right, and these ones can go back. But from here onwards, they will all be red. And that's how you change that shortcut on that, okay? So, moving on, let's clear them. We go to View menu. And here, anything and everything that you want to view is going to come to view in here, okay? So I don't want to see the guidelines, so I want to clear them, and off they go, okay? Now, we come across with, we're here, we highlighted the rulers, all right? So we're coming across to here, and we have a navigator. So what is a navigator? The navigator basically allows you to navigate this image, all right, from this window. So let's say this is to zoom or decrease the size of the magnification, okay? So at the moment is a 50% of the original size of the image, okay? Bearing in mind that the image is 62 centimeters, all right? It's just over half a meter by under half a meter in height. So it is quite a big image. It is sticking with the Nikon D800, which is a full frame camera. So it's not for the faint heart. They're quite large images, okay? So, but if I was to reduce that red square remains the same, all right? So I can see everything, can see the edge of there. But let's say I was doing some work, some retouching into the image, and I wanted to magnify the detail. So we can actually see the grain of the wood, okay? Because we are at 385.74% zoomed into the image. And it's here where we, using the move tool, and we move and grab by clicking, left clicking in that red square, we then navigate the image. All right? Now there are easy ways to do this when you're working on the image itself. All right? For example, you have the hand tool. You will see that the move tool, when it goes into the navigator, it becomes a hand. Okay? So we go to the hand tool, and the hand tool does exactly the same. It allows you by clicking, but then it's on a more controlled way that you navigate this. All right? And how do we get back to 50% or 52%? We just double click that hand tool and it takes it back to that. Okay, so if you want to be precise, you type 50% and it gets it to that size. All right, so that is what the navigator is about. All right, then we have the histogram. We're very familiar about the histogram because we got it on our cameras. All right, not many people know what the histogram actually does, but basically indicates the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows, all right? Or white, gray, and black of the image. And you want the pics to be away from the right-hand side in order to give you a much better exposure sort of thing, okay? Information. Information here is basically when let's get the move tool, okay? When we then go into the image, I mean, you will see here, I don't know if you can see it, but I got a dirty lens, like, you know, wow. So I could use these guidelines to indicate a position that I may need to rectify, all right? And you can have many of these. All right, so that's one use of the guidelines. All right, another use for the guidelines. But there is a much easier way to actually spot all these sports things, like, guidelines, clear guidelines. All right. Um, but in here, as I was saying, you have a spot here. All right there. And then, if for some reason the publisher says, oh, you got some spots on your image, and one of them is located at X 54.20 and Y 1.49. So I would come to my image and I would find it like that, okay? It is also a reference, like, for things that you're doing when you're working on a team on the same project. That's where it comes handy as well. Cropping tool, you will have that. I think click on the cropping tool. That is when the cropping tool tells you what size it is. So you have that information, which is also down there as well. Okay, so move tool again, and that is what the information is about. It gives you the colors, where the precise color that you are on, the very tip of that arrow. Okay, it will give you the red, green, and blue, and the cyan, magenta, yellow, and black reference to the particular color. All right. Many people use those CMYK ones when they're decorating their houses and they like a particular green color, and they can reproduce that color exactly by that. That is the difference between a red, green, and blue, which is classed in the industry as a spot color, and the CMYK as a true color. The spot color, the industry doesn't like to print anything with it because it runs. Right? When you do one batch, the next batch is going to be different. But when you print it on CMYK, you can print it 1,000,000 times and it will be exactly the same color. So just a bit of useless information perhaps, but here we go. Then we have properties. Properties is referred to the image, the active image here, how it's composed, the width, the height, the orientation, landscape, all right? It tells you also the mode, which is which colors. So yeah, which color you're working on, which is RGB color, or you can choose CMYK color or index color if you're working for photographs to be on a website, grayscale, lab color. It goes on, like lab color, obviously when you're working with film and stuff like that, and multi-channel, blah blah blah. All right. So whether it's 8 bits per channel, or 16 bits per channel, or 32 bits per channel. Now I explained what the channels, the 8 bits was on the previous video, and that is where you will alter this. Okay, and whether you want the image to be filled the background or not. Okay, now rulers and guides, well, let's see what we go and offer here. So we have the rulers, which are here, okay, and we also have the grid, and we can apply the grid. So each square on this grid is divided into 4, just as it was on previously on the settings, right? And that is where we have this. So yeah, moving on. So I don't like the grid. I sometimes I use the grid when I'm doing positioning different images and making a composition, okay? It is very important when you're working in photography. I mean, not all of us agree about changing the sky on a photograph and then continue to call it a photograph because it's no longer a photograph, all right? It is a composition. Once you take or remove or add something to a photograph, it's no longer what the camera shot. So in my books, it's no longer a photograph, it's a composition, okay? A composite, all right? So in here, you can select what measurements you're going to apply to the ruler, all right? And then when you click this one here, you can also select to apply this in there, all right? So that is what that palette actually does. And then the guidelines, you have guidelines. How do you want it to do? You want them solid or dotted? You want them locked or loose? Okay, so you have all these here under that. Quick action, you have image size, crop, trim, rotate. So if we say quick action, rotate, it's going to ask me how much. And let's say I want it 75 degrees. All right, and it will rotate the image just like that at 75 degrees. All right, so oops, how did I do that? Oh, bad boy. Right, let's do it again. So we say rotate, did we? Yeah, rotate camera 75%, like that. So I applied it, it's not saved. I went Command Control Z, and that is the shortcut for undo. That is internationally known on any application that you can think in the world, including word processing. Okay. All right, so now the navigator, we have here sashes. Sashes come on families, known to the industry as families, RGB, CMYK, grayscale, pastels, you name it. You go millions and millions and millions and millions of colors to choose from. Or if you can find the shade on the millions of colors, you can create your own shade by adjusting the slide bars and giving it a name. And it becomes your own particular color, okay? Yeah. So, and then we have history. Now, history, we came across it when we did it, and let me choose, this is already annoying me. I don't like grids, you see. It's just a pet hate of mine. Right, so history keeps a record of everything that we have done to this image so far. All right, so at any point I can go back to when I opened it, when I did that, and that. Okay, so you can go back right to the beginning. Awesome, isn't it? So then we have actions. Now actions are brilliant. Actions is like, you know, when you're doing, can't remember what you asked. I was asked someday, like, you know, can I record? Can I do a shortcut of this? And this is what it is. It's basically recording of movements that you will do and apply to a given image. Okay, so let's say that one here, and we press play. It will go ahead and do whatever that does to the image. You say could not do because blah blah blah. Okay, so we then go to history. We go back. the beginning. So action dash basically is a macro, okay? Now, if you're familiar to Windows are scared of macros, like, because macros is a set of also a name for a virus, a very old virus. And it basically reproduces that way by creating actions, etc. You can also have, like I created my own, converting files from PSD to JPEG, all right? So basically I will select a file or a folder and apply that I want all the images on that folder converted from PSD Photoshop onto JPEG. Press play and it will do the load in one click, all right? So you don't have to manually do it yourself. But that is a video on its own for later on. Brushes. Now, what's a brush? Okay, we have the brush tool here, and these are brushes. Brushes are very handy for creating different effects, for creating your own signature, copyright signature to your image. To give you an example, is we have here, let me see, let's go to brushes up here. So I have a selection of brushes here that I have created myself. All right, in this case, my new logo is that one there. And what I can do with that logo is I can place it there according to the color and the wells here. Now, these colors you can change it, and you can select it by simply pressing the letter X. It will swap it from black to white and white to black. Okay, so I would say I go for white, and I'm gonna set it up here, the opacity 40%. Let's say, usually that's what I do, 40%. And then I come down here and click, and it places that on there. Now the beauty of a brush is that I can make that any size. Okay, pressing the square brackets to reduce it, click there, and then maybe select the different colors, yeah, and apply it to that. So that again is another video, because brushes, there are so many options that you can have. So this is all the different type of brushes that are available under that one tool selection. Okay, so I'm then gonna go to history and click there to get back to the original. All right, so likewise, the brushes will appear here, and I go selection there. You have absolutely hundreds and thousands style of brushes that you can add to your Photoshop by simply clicking there. And brush group name, you can create your own brushes, as I was saying, and you can add them, you can buy them, you can create them yourselves and sell them in Etsy. Yeah. Right, so we have that, and we're gonna come here and go to the next one, which is the secret of Photoshop. The one that you need to crack is layers. That is what makes Photoshop the business, okay? So you have different types of layers. You have, let me press Command or Control J to give me a new layer exactly the same as that one. The original is locked, and I'm gonna switch it off, okay? So that means when you switch off, you get a transparent background, and so you have full control of that layer. You can also say kind, name, effect, mode, attribute. You can change that. You can then change the blending mode of that, so you can have multiply and it will make it darker, right? Or you can put it onto an overlay, right? And unless you're actually playing with this, the only way to do it, let me say, for example, let's open another image, okay? And bring that one, okay? Open. So we have that. And this is why I like working in separate windows, okay? I will simply, with the move tool, okay, let's send that away. With the move tool, and then we'll click, hold, and drag into this image, press shift. By doing this, the image that I'm about to place is going to be placed bang on the center of this other one, all right? And from here, I can manipulate the image to go to the same size as the one behind it. So to do that, another shortcut, okay, is Control and the letter T. That is the same as going to select, transform, image transform, I believe it is. I can't even remember where it is. Image, I'm sure it's image just, anyway, it transforms the image selection, I think it is it? No, I'll find it later on. Okay, so that is going to allow me, these nudges here will allow me to stretch the image to the same size as the one behind, all right? So we click, hold, and press Alt on your keyboard and drag. And this will enlarge the image proportionally, all right? And then we press Enter to say, thank you very much, I'm happy with that. We then come here and we close this without saving, all right? And then we have 3 layers, okay, one on top of the other. Now, what will happen if I went to this layer and converted it to light? So anything that is lightened, it will become transparent, all right? An overlay, it will overlay the image on top and also reveal what is behind it. Soft light, hard light, etc., etc. So why do you want to do this? Well, double expositions, you know, your imagination is the limit. I will advise you to play with Photoshop to begin with. Play, 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 and that is the way you are going to master it, okay? I'm not gonna lie to you, I never lied to my students in college when we're studying Photoshop as the tool. It takes 3 years to master Photoshop, okay? But for photography, you're only going to use a few tools, so you can master it in a few hours, all right? So, but as I say, just come and play with it, all right? And that is the way you're gonna get used to the toolbox, what it does, etc., etc. I will upload later on another videos with exercises and things like that that you may be interested in doing, or maybe not, but you know, it's up to you. So that is layers. All these ones here will allow you to do, let me just create another one just to show you that, and I'm going to do that. So what I'm doing here, the eye indicates visible or hidden, all right? So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go to this one here. Now, this creates a new fill or adjustment layer, all right? You click there and I want to convert that image onto black and white. Boom, it's done, okay? So, but it's non-destructive because it just added an extra layer with a filter, okay? And then I can adjust here things that you can do, okay? So we could be here all day just in this video, in just this little tiny little bit, like, you know, and you may and may not use one of these tools in your photographic journey, okay? So I'm just gonna delete that by dragging it to the bin, all right? And this one here adds basically a mask, all right? And then you can do whatever you want with the mask on that, all right? So again, the mask is attached to the image, all right? So we just unlock that and delete the mask. Anything else? You have effects. You can have satin, bevel and emboss, and all that stuff. You can link one image to the other by clicking the link, and you can add an empty layer as well. So an empty layer is empty, transparent, okay? And also you go to the bin. See, all right? So that's that section there. Path, we talked about path before. If I go to the pen tool, which is hiding, there we go, pen tool does this. You can shape it, very powerful tool, all right? And then we can come here. That is a path, okay? It says work path. And if you click there, double click it, you can name it the path, all right? And that will be a referral to that. What can you do with the path? You can fill it with colors. You can put a brush, a stroke, okay? You can convert it to the marching ants. You can do all of this in here. So marching ants are this one. It's a selection. Once that is selected, you can go into copy, which is Command or Control C, and then you paste it, Command Control V. And then with the move tool, we can move that section. This section here, just as we had it in the past, all right? And if we want the path back again, we can actually click on that on here, click the path, and it's not gonna let me do it. We'll select it there and we can convert it to a path again. All right? So that's what a path is, all right? Go back to layers, history, go back to that, and then channels. Channels is basically the colors that you're using, all right? What can you use channels for? If you so wanted, you can convert this picture. Remember the red and blue glasses that you used to get in the shops, and it makes it 3D. Well, you can do the same with this, with the channels, all right? You can add that, so you can have the blue in a particular place, and then put the red, separate, move the image, ever so slightly, and then the blue this way, and then when you put it back, you have that. Now if you put those glasses, that image is 3D, just like that. Amazing, huh? So, and you can also adjust the image to correct the colors depending on the channel. So if you do what I do, I know Keith does as well, photo manipulation or photograph, heirloom repair of old photographs, removing the scratches and things like that. You can do it via the channels too. Alright, so, and that's that. So this here applies to all of them. So I hope you enjoy this. Oh, hold on, this one here is just an extension of a hidden palette, which gives you everything from cloning stamp, character, path, paragraph, sorry, clips. You know, certain fonts have more than a different style and lettering, and then you have like adjustments to the image that you can do just by going in there. Alright, so I hope you enjoy this, and play. Do please play, because that's the way you're going to learn Photoshop. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you soon. Bye.